Alright, so this is my first day actually teaching, so I'm pretty excited. So I guess let's just go ahead and dive in. I got to learn most of your names yesterday just because you guys had to hand your tests to me and then I gave you ice cream. So it's kind of a good trade-off if you ask me. There's not more ice cream. I ate it all. So most days I'll try to start off with objectives, and you don't have to write them down or anything, but it helps me as we go along in the lesson. So these are the things we're going to be doing today. And first thing is I'm going to give a little presentation about myself, just because I want you guys to know who I am. So Sam Hoffman, but you guys can call me Mr. Hoffman because I'm the teacher. So I know that yeah, Mr. Hoff is okay, that's fine. And I know that Mr. Wetzel calls me Hoffman all the time, which I'm used to because I grew up in a little town and we just call everybody by their last name. So did everybody see this okay? Okay. So I'm from Genesee, Idaho, which is way up here. Okay. And this is the route that I took to get here. So you actually go, it's faster to go up north, and then you get to Coeur d'Alene, and then you go east to Montana, and then you go down. So
That's like 10 hours.
It's 8 hours to get here. So it's about 555 miles from my hometown to here. And if you guys know where Moscow is, Genesee is just south of here. Okay? Now I love my little town, and you guys will see how little it is in just a second. Okay, so I did a little comparison here. Population of Genesee is 946. The size of the high school, it's 1A D1, and that's the second smallest high school size in Idaho. There's a 1A district too. And so there was about 100 kids in the high school, which meant my graduating class was a whopping 25 students. Okay? And the reason that everybody calls me Hoffman is because out of the 25 students, there was 4 of us that were Sam, so it was just easier to call us by our last names. But we're the Bulldogs, so I guess I'm a Bobcat now, which I guess I have to be okay with. But and it just wouldn't be my style if I didn't talk a little bit about agriculture. All right. So actually, these are pretty similar. When I think of Southern Idaho, I think of animal production, and there's just a lot of crop production around here: potatoes, barley. So it's kind of like home for me. But I grew up on a ranch, and I'll show you guys a few pictures about that. Oh, and there's going to be a little pop quiz on myself, so you guys. It's really easy. It's really easy. If you guys don't get 100, I'll be surprised. Okay?
You'll be surprised if you get 100?
I'll be surprised if you don't.
Oh, I'm nice and cool.
Alright, so I grew up on a 2,000-acre crop production ranch, and so we grew things like wheat and garbanzo beans. And does anybody know what garbanzo beans are?
No.
Maybe. I don't know that for sure. But has anybody ever heard of chickpeas?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, chickpeas, they go in salad, they make hummus. So a lot of it is grown in the Middle East, like around Israel, but we actually grow a lot of it up in the Palouse where I'm from. Okay? But we've grown things like peas, lentils, canola, barley, and oats. A lot of the barley that's grown around here is called malting barley, but we grow a lot of feed barley where I'm from. Okay? And then, since it's animal science, I had to talk a little bit about animal production, but our farm used to be a self-sustaining farm. So we had things like dairy cows, beef cows, horses, rabbits, chickens. Like my family used to get about 100 chickens, and we butcher them all.
Holy crap.
Okay, and then we freeze them for the winter. So we were what they called a self-sustaining farm, because as you learn with the milk production, we would go out and milk the cows. Then we would separate the cream from the milk and everything. So we didn't have to go to the store for a lot of different things just because we made it all ourselves, like spices and stuff like that. We obviously had to go get, but a lot of the food and drinks were all grown. But that was way before my time, like back in the 30s. Okay. Like I said, I went to Genesee. It's a K through 12 school. So that means kindergarten to 12th grade, you're in the same building. Okay? I know, I love doing this because you guys are just so surprised. Because I walked through your school, and it's the only time I've been in there when I came right before Christmas break. I walked through your guys' school, and I was just like, this is huge. I've never been in a school that big, so I wish I had a picture of Genesee, but basically when you start out, you're in kindergarten and you're on one side of the building. And then all of a sudden when you get up to junior high, which is 7th grade, then you're on another side of the building with all the high schoolers. So it goes K through 6th is elementary, 7th through 8th is junior high, and then 9th through 12th is high school.
They're all in the same building?
All in the same building. So you know all the teachers all your life. You have the same principal the whole time. That's why this is so weird to me. And that's kind of why I chose Rexburg or Madison, I guess, to come and do my student teaching. But then I went to the University of Idaho, which is a whopping 15 minutes from my house, where I grew up. So I just didn't really branch out. Everybody likes to. No, I didn't live at home. I wanted to live on campus. Mainly because, here's another thing that might freak you guys out. They actually couldn't get internet to my house, where I grew up. Okay, so no Wi-Fi. So where I grew up, there's a lot of hills. They call it the Palouse. They call it the rolling hills of the Palouse, and I love them. I love my hills, and I love my agriculture. Okay? And you're gonna hear me say the word love a lot. It's gonna be weird. Everybody's gonna get freaked out. But basically, here is flat. This is flat to me. Like, I know you guys got the Tetons over there, and then you got like the Magic Valley in the southeastern, Twin Falls area, and then you got Treasure Valley over there. It's all flat, okay? Except for a couple mountains. I will give you the mountains. But where my house is, there's like 2 huge hills, okay? And then there's a big old slope and a drop, and my house is right there. And you can't see any cell tower from my house. So there's a little bit. And so for that reason, you couldn't get internet at my house. And when you go to college, you kind of need internet. It's just a necessity. In fact, I'm so spoiled now, I need internet wherever I go. We had internet at the school, so I just did all my schoolwork there. But anyway, I know they don't really push all of you guys to be an FFA when you get here, but I would highly encourage it. And these are kind of some of the stuff that I did while I was in FFA. I did different CDEs like agronomy, soils, dairy foods, ag mechanics, public speaking, creed, forestry. And one I didn't put up there is meat and livestock judging. So I have experience working with animals and also with different retail cuts, like when beef gets turned into hamburger and stuff like that. So a lot of you don't know what this is, maybe, but I got my state degree in 2011. I got my American degree in 2013, and those are just 2 of the higher degrees you can earn while you're in FFA. And you do that by having a supervised agricultural experience, and then you keep records of it. So if you've done 4-H and you've had to keep record books, it's kind of the same thing. All right, so then I was the North Idaho District Vice President. There's 9 FFA districts in Idaho, and the North Idaho District is the biggest one, extending from the border of Canada all the way down to Grangeville. So I don't know how many miles that is, but it's a walk. And then I did my placement in crop production, so just working for my dad. And then I went to the National Convention in Louisville, Kentucky from 2012 to 2014 every year. And then at the University of Idaho, I was our collegiate FFA president. So that's kind of some of my experience, and FFA is a big part of why I've gotten into agricultural education. So. And then here's just some pictures. Like this is me doing forestry, wearing that nice blue corduroy jacket. This was my district officer team, we were a little wacky. And then when I was elected president, I got my own gavel. I kind of wish I would have brought it, but that was pretty special to me. And then some of my biggest hobbies, basketball and baseball. I just love sports, and I'm actually living with Mr. Johnson right now, and he's a big fan of sports too, so we just go home and watch sports together. So one of the most, I have to tell you guys about one of the most heartbreaking experiences of my entire life, and I kind of look like a creeper in this picture, but that's okay. I'm holding a 3rd place trophy here for the Idaho State Basketball Championships, okay? And my senior year, we went undefeated all the way until the semi-final game where we lost to Glens Ferry, who eventually went on to win the championship. But we almost had a perfect season, and I was really sad. But then I got to play intramural sports in while I was at the University of Idaho. So you just play against other teams or groups. Okay, and then I have to tell you guys about my international experience too. So last spring break, I got the chance to leave the country for the first time. Like I've never been to Canada or anything like that, like a lot of people from North Idaho. So I got to go as a student ambassador for the College of Ag and Life Sciences, and I went to Taiwan to study agricultural systems. And I ate a lot of weird but delicious food. And one that I didn't think that was very weird, but everybody's always like, oh, that's disgusting, was whenever you got on a train, they always gave you a lunchbox. And then you would open it up, and they have these things called tea eggs. And this isn't the most disgusting, but it's just a hard-boiled egg that's boiled in tea instead. So when you crack it, it's like black instead of white. And it's really like, it didn't taste any different than a hard-boiled egg, but just getting past the whole, like, that it was black and you have to bite into it, it was strange. But also, they had this little fish, it was about this long, okay, and they breaded it and fried it. Like, they didn't scale it or anything, it was just a whole fish, like head, fin. And I was like, what do you do with it? And the guy that I was with was like, you just eat it. And I was like, you just eat it? He was like, yeah, eat the head. Eat the head first. And I was like, all right. So I used my chopsticks and put it in my mouth. And just the most awful crunching sound from the skull. But then, like, you just ate the bones and everything. But then, after I got done eating it, there was like all this yellow stuff, and I was like, what is that? And he's like, oh, you got a female. And I was like, what? And he's like, those are the eggs. And I was like, no, thank you. But we ate a lot of different things. Like I had fish stomach while I was there. And I'm a really picky eater. Like I have to force myself to eat salad. So that was awful for me. But it was my first time out of the country, and it was definitely one of the most cool experiences of my life. I think I have a few pictures. So this is me, and I love selfies, just to let you know. But this is me and a girl that we went with, and then here are our advisors in the background, and they weren't too thrilled. But
you look very unsure of yourself.
I am, most of the time, actually. I'm just trying to uphold myself right here in front of you guys so you think I know what I'm talking about. So, and then here's me. You can't really see it that well, but I'm like trying to look real cool, like a Mission Impossible gaze off into the distance, and then this is like across the seas, China, and this was a monk temple, and this was the National House Museum, but that was really cool. Oh, and then I forgot about this one. This is the 6th tallest tower in the world. It's called Taipei 101. Yes, Diamond.
You should turn off one of the lights.
Okay, so you can see my weird pictures. I put some good ones on here for you guys. Let's turn them all off. There we go. Okay, so this is me in my touristy pose, and then the 6th tallest tower in the world. It's got 101 floors, and you can take the stairs. And so we went up in the elevator, obviously. And the elevator goes 10 miles an hour, which is really weird because you can feel it, like from your feet all the way up to your head, and then your ears just pop. It's odd, but it's like, I think from base to tip, it's like 1,635 feet up in the air. And if you guys have ever seen a Space Needle, that's only 600 feet in the air, so that's kind of like 2.5 Space Needles right there. Yeah.
Did you ever jump when the elevator went up and down?
No.
That's so much fun.
And what's cool about this is like to account for wind resistance. So like you can see on a windy day, you can see the building sway,
Ooh.
and you can feel it too. But they have this huge ball that just sits up here in the top, and it like flexes with the wind, so it actually helps the building from swaying too much. And it weighs like 20 tons or something, like 40,000 pounds or something like that. Okay. That's a really good question. That's the one I asked. I was like, how did you lift it up here? But I have no idea. Yeah, they probably did. They're smarter than I am, that's for sure. Okay. So now, I'm going to turn the lights back on. I want you guys to get into groups by your birthday month. So you have to find each other. But January through March, April through June, July through September, October through December, But I'm just gonna tell you right now, my birthday's in January. It's coming up, and there might be cupcakes in your guys' future. But anyway, please line up. We'll do like January to March back there in that corner, and then April to June back there in that corner. July to September up here in this corner, and then October to December up here.
Don't look at it.
I'm looking around at it.
Hey, bro. I asked for that to like. What is it? April.
No, January's back there.
April. What's up, man? April. Yeah.
April to June's right there. Okay. July to September right over here, and then October, December right here. That might have been a thing. Okay. So now we're gonna go around and you have to say your birthday. Okay. And then depending on what group you're in, you have to tell me what your I'll tell your whole class what your dream vacation spot is, your favorite hobby is, your favorite subject in school, or your favorite food. And I'll give you just a second to think about it if you don't already know. Yes.
Can my dream vacation spot be a different planet?
Sure.
Can it be a non-existent planet?
No. No, it must be a place in this universe. Okay, so I guess I'll just go ahead and start. My birthday is January 21st, so what is today? Is today the 13th? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got 8 days till I'm 22. Okay? And then my dream vacation spot would have to be Scotland, just because I've seen some pictures and it looks pretty sweet. Plus, I'm a big fan of the movie Braveheart, if anybody knows what that is.
Yes.
Yeah, freedom, all right? Big fan. Okay, so let's start off with the January to Marches, right over there. Cameron?
My birthday is January 3rd, 1999. And my dream vacation spot is Idaho Falls, Idaho.
All right. Okay, only been there once.
Like a 15-minute drive.
My birthday is in March 20th,
Okay.
2000. I've never really thought about it, because I've always thought of other people going to different places.
Has anybody told you about a cool place they went? Like Scotland?
My brother, I'm actually interested in the UK,
No.
because my
Okay.
brother wants to play the UK.
Cool.
So it's cool.
Okay.
My birthday's February 15th,
All right.
and the spot would be Hawaii.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Missouri.
I thought about it.
No, don't say that. We'd like to hear more. All right. Third. Wait, what's your name? Okay, go ahead.
I was born February 20th, and my dream vacation spot was Paris.
Okay, cool. Bailey.
I was born March 31st, and my dream vacation spot I've already been, which is Greece.
Oh, cool.
I was born February 26th. I think Alaska would be kind of cool to go to.
I think Alaska would be really cool to visit because everybody talks about going and just living there, but I feel like living there would be kind of vacationing there would be really cool. Like if you just went up there to hunt or fish for the season, that'd be awesome. All right.
Wait, what's your name? Oh, wait, you already know. So, my birthday is April 5th, and my favorite hobby is like, I really like swimming or like watching movies and movies.
I'm a big fan of one of those things.
Watching TV.
My birthday is May 31st, and my favorite hobby is colored art.
Okay.
My birthday is April 19th, and my favorite hobby is to play Pokemon.
All right.
My favorite hobby, my birthday, April 10th, and my favorite hobby, watching sports. My birthday is May 16th, and I love dirt biking.
May 7th, and play basketball once in a while.
Good.
November 19th, lasagna.
All right.
October 18th, and I like chicken strips. My birthday is November 20th, and I like to get a hamburger.
December 8th.
Last two.
Mine's August 18th. My biggest is something.
Yeah, this one's kind of boring. I'll be honest.
I really don't mind. I don't know. This trimester, this is my least one that I hate, so.
There we go. I like the way you worded that.
My birthday is July 21st, and I like lunch.
Okay. I look forward to lunch every day, I will be honest. Alright, so you guys can go ahead and sit down. I just wanted to get to know you guys a little better.
The political.
For the longest time, you just knew me as the guy who sat in the back and ate 7 bowls of ice cream.
7 bowls?
No, it wasn't 7. I swear, I have only had 2. It was just as many as Mr. Wetzel had. Okay? Marcus. Okay. So, we're going to start with swine industry today. Okay. And I'm going to turn the lights off just so you guys can see this picture accurately. So what do you think of this pig right here? And I'm not talking about the boy, I'm talking about this one right here.
Small.
Okay, so what's our general consensus? It's a pretty big pig, huh? You think, okay, Cameron thinks that this is a small pig.
That kid is teeny. How old is the kid?
No, I'm not going to say how old the kid is because I don't know. But anyway, this is back in the 1920s, okay? And hogs, back in the 1920s, were really short and really fat. Okay? They are compact. That is a great word. Okay? So there's a huge difference between hogs back then and hogs today. Okay? So the 1920s was more of a bacon style hog, and this would have like 1.5 to 2 inches of fat just on its belly. Could you imagine bacon with like this much fat on it and this much meat? Okay? It's not bad. But one of the things that they used a lot more of in the past was lard. So a lot of the fat on hog, rather than, I don't know if you guys talked about marbling when you talked about beef.
Yeah.
So that is intramuscular fat, and this is subcutaneous fat. So basically it sits outside of the muscle, and they would cut a lot of that fat off and sell it as a product called lard. And they would use that to cook with, light candles with, or I guess they'd use it for like the wax for the candles. So they found a lot of different uses for lard because it's saturated fat. And saturated fats are,
Very bad for you.
no,
Yes.
sometimes. But saturated fats are solid at room temperature, and unsaturated fats are liquid at room temperature. Okay? So, like I said, there's a big difference between hogs in the 1920s and hogs today.
How much do you think that one weighs?
That one? You know how much a typical hog weighs nowadays? No. like a market hog. A market hog? Okay, so usually market hogs are anywhere from 230 to 300 pounds. Usually the range that they want them, or like the ideal hog, is going to be right around 270. Okay, yeah.
After that, like 800 pounds.
Okay, that's a sow though. That's not used for production. That's not going to be used for meat. It's used for producing food. I'm sure.
His name was Godzilla.
All right, so that's a whole different thing. All right. So we're going to go over terms in a little bit, and you guys will have to write down the terms just like you would for Mr. Wetzel, and I incorporated some of his slides into it because I didn't want to deviate too far from what Mr. Wetzel does because he's a good teacher and I am a starting out teacher. And he knows a lot more about animal science than I do. Yeah. Okay. So I love this word right here. We are going to explore the swine industry, and we are going to go back and make you guys aware consumers, just like Mr. Wetzel says almost every day. And I'm not going to tell you that bacon is delicious and nutritious. It's very delicious, but there could be some bacon in our future because we had jerky, we had ice cream, and now we're going to have some pig candy.
Pig candy?
Pig candy.
Bacon.
Bacon.
That's food, not candy.
Oh, it's candy. It's just as addictive as candy, I think. Okay, so we're going to start off this unit just like Mr. Wetzel does. And I want you guys to go ahead and list as many products and byproducts of pork as you can. I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes, okay? And
What else is there need to know?
okay, that's true, but there are other great things about pork. So I want you guys to come up with 20 products and byproducts, and then same with Mr. Wetzel. If you come up with things after that, half a point extra credit. Bacon is the highest selling product. There's some cuts that are
Bacon, pork chops, steak. What's those measuring sticks?
You noticed.
Put sausage on there, pork hog. Is there such thing as American?
Can we like
Three more times. How many just have? I was just doing 10,
It is.
I literally got my name.
That was like very shitty out of my county.
byproducts like
They may have a lot of different things most of the time, but I'd say that when they first started, they were mostly pork.
They make, hey Wenzel,
No, but they can use big skin as human skin. Graphic setting. Used to use it.
Heart valve. I just don't like you don't hire it all. Smoke for the smoke it all. Can we play it? I'll get you a game. All day. Random. You right there. Okay. Are you supposed to have one from? I got what? That's all. I'm just saying the beef one. The beef one was the beef one.
You got through that one pretty quick. Toothbrushes used to be made out of horsehair.
What's up? I thought they did. What's up? What's up?
Yes.
They use hard.
They used to, yes. Old school toothbrushes used to be made out of. Huh? The horsehair, the old days.
I got 7. I got 7 of each of them. Real good.
Have you ever seen that in the grocery store?
You buy it from you? Two for, I think that's for 6. You got 2 girls?
Yes.
Well, so I have 7, I'm done.
Seems like take your phone away.
Yeah. Well, I figured out some,
That's it?
but I got 7. I can't. I don't think anything else.
What?
What you guys think about like pepperoni,
That's
salami? Okay. Ground pork.
Ground pork.
Yeah, salami, pepperoni. Because right now
about byproducts now?
Spam is pork.
Man.
Yeah, I know that they have many different denotations of hot dogs, but like the very first hot dogs were pork.
What about byproducts?
Spam is a product. Yeah. Bologna.
Bologna.
Yeah. Yeah. There's ham steaks. The loin.
What else?
The
Byproducts.
ribs.
Yep.
Don't go there, Marcus.
Top and bottom loin.
No. No.
Hey,
That's actually not a thing on a pizza.
Hoffman.
Has anybody thought of Canadian bacon yet?
Yes.
American bacon isn't a thing. It's just real bacon.
What about byproducts?
Byproducts? Well, think about some of the byproducts that come from, the feet,
Very good.
jowl.
Jowl?
You guys could even put down lard if they're fat enough.
Oh, yep.
Larry talked about that today.
Hoffman, what about chalk?
Chalk?
Chalk.
Ooh, I'm not sure about that one. Mr. What's
Can we make
chalk?
glue out of this?
No.
Oh,
Can we make
You
glue
got
out
it
of
from the man himself. Yeah.
make what?
Is that gelatin stuff?
Oh,
Oh, we can make
Hoffman, can I look up some byproducts now?
Wyatt has got a very good finished product.
Pigskin?
Pig's tail.
Oh, yeah.
Pig's tail. Have you guys, okay, one that was always really weird to me, have you ever seen the pickled pig's feet in the jar at the grocery store?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so nasty. Yeah. I know, I've told you a lot of interesting things today, haven't I?
Wait, with the pig. Hoffman, with the pig's tail go on byproducts or products?
It's a direct product.
Okay.
What?
My dad didn't eat
Well, the
pig
processes to make them are different, but it's still just room for it. But you could also put pig skin because they used to make footballs out of it.
Yeah, there's talent to like eyeball. My dad watched it. No, he watched.
Oh, okay. Mr. Wetzel just gave me a little gem of knowledge. The original pigskin was based off the shape of a pig's bladder.
So that's where the shape of the football comes from. You take a pig bladder and put air in it. That's why a football looks differently than all other balls.
Wait, how can they? Why do you say that?
What do they use teeth for?
Because we were bored. We didn't stop to ask ourselves, can or should we do it?
Hoffman, can I use the teeth for anything?
What?
Can I use the teeth for anything?
The teeth?
Jewelry, you know.
Not jewelry, that's weird.
I know you can use pig hair.
That's very good.
Brushes.
Yeah.
Mine's got it.
Heart valves.
What do you say? Wait,
Heart
what
valves.
do you say?
Heart valves. There's over 150,000 people walking around
You
the
can
world
eat a
today with a
pig's cheek,
pig.
and that's supposed to be one of the most terrible parts of the pig.
George Bush Sr., even Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I'm looking.
Okay, is everybody getting pretty close to 20?
No?
Okay, I'll give you 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes.
We use a phone?
Come on.
No, you cannot. Diamond, put your phone away, please.
Gosh dang it. I give up. I'm done.
Getting
I can't do my byproducts.
There are some work with really good.
The guy for dissection. You guys remember dissecting the guy?
There's no getting around it.
Just use pig skin as human skin.
I know people who don't like the English ones, but I want to see them.
Agreed.
Let's
And the people that don't like ginger ale.
What are they doing? What are you doing with them?
I haven't had it. I already told you I just did like ranch.
You just told me that you didn't like salad. Like, you
I know.
didn't. Yes,
I have to
you
force myself to eat it.
One day you said you didn't like salad. The next day you said you didn't like it.
That's because I'm trying to be very optimistic about it. Plus, I do reward myself with a piece of pizza. You probably can't with the nails. I've got a little cheat sheet. You do
Can't you have like cake schools and stuff, decoration?
That's weird.
Well, I had that same thing about cow school.
Okay, I'll tell you guys a story. When they go through the plant, and I don't know if you'll ever see this, but they actually, their heads go through a jaw separator. It's a jaw. And they process the head.
For what?
They boil it down, usually, and then they can use the blood and a lot of the other, like, things in a pig skull for products.
I use it for decoration. I have one.
Sure. No.
Is that a product? Is yield the pig's blood?
I've actually tried cooked pigs.
Okay, wait. I have an interesting story about that, really quick, and it's a little inappropriate, so just bear with me. But anyway, when I was in Taiwan, we went down this alleyway and it was called Snake Alley.
Oh, my dad knows that.
Okay, and this guy would take snakes and he would basically kill them and then bleed them out, and then he would serve you a drink that had like it was basically a little glass, like an ounce, and it had just a little bit of alcohol in it and then snake's blood, and everybody that went to Taiwan tried it and it was really disgusting. Yes.
My dad went to his mission on Taiwan, and like he's eating pig brain and stuff.
I'm sure. Did
And,
anybody
like,
write down brain?
Yeah.
There you go, brain.
He was like riding down, bike down the street, and like you know how the drunk Taiwanese go on their scooters and they fall into like the ditches. Well, he saw a light. And he had like his younger companion. He's like, "You just see your first drunk Taiwanese man in a ditch." So they fell down fast, and the guy has like a light and like sewage stuff on. He's zapping the water,
Oh wow.
and he's like when he zaps it, there's like shakes moving along, and the guy's catching eels and cooking them and stuff.
That's impressive.
From the net.
The net? It's not a product. You write down like this. Points. Pork chop. That's just a loin. Okay, so with many loins, there's also a tenderloin. Oh, a tenderloin? Tenderloin. Okay. Alright. Did everybody put a pork chop?
Yeah.
Rib chop?
Oh, nope.
No, because when you have a pork chop, usually it's a loin, and then you have the rib chop, which has a piece of the rib on it.
Is that the same thing as pork?
I'm not making stuff up, man. Why would I lie to you like that?
Can you use like decoration too?
You are caught up on decoration, man. I think if I went into your house, I'd see just big parts everywhere.
Like, I would. I like. Yeah, I like it taxidermy. Pigs.
Alright. So it's 10:30 now. We've spent way too much time on this. So if you didn't kite get 20, that's okay, but I want you guys to go ahead and turn this in. So we're going to do it just like Mr. Wetzel, pass everything all the way to your guys' right, my left, and then I'll come and collect it. Huh? Right? How many products you got on top?
I know, what we get Hey Hoffman, can you ask me what your camera computer back here for?
What?
What's the computer slash camera for?
I'm recording.
Why are you recording?
Because I have to record because I have to send it to my cooperating teachers. Diamond thinks I'm a secret agent, but I'm not for that. I'm not secret at all. I have not lied to you guys once. Alright. Anyway, so as a student teacher, I have to send videos of myself into my teachers so they can see it because I'm still a student. That's why I'm called a student teacher. So I'm learning and I'm teaching you guys, so I'm getting the experience of being in the classroom before they actually send me out because they want to make sure that I am competent enough, qualified, competent, all that stuff. Don't lie to students, you know, because I seem to have a problem with that. All right, and then I totally forgot, but we do have a little quiz, okay? Yeah, I know, I'm an awful guy. Quiz on my first day? I swear, it is super easy. Really. If you didn't pay attention during the first part of the day, then it'll be a little difficult.
G. And you like basketball, baseball. Oh, what class?
Tennessee.
Oh.
It's not Tennessee, I swear.
You're from that weird part.
Yeah, the North, the Panhandle, the Palouse, the greatest place in the universe.
Kick my butt.
Huh? He's gonna fail this quiz.
You sure?
And if you guys aren't completely sure, you can work as a table.
Hoffman, what's your first name?
You can't ask me.
Try your strike class.
Well, then you just get 100%. Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Hey, I definitely did.
No, you didn't.
No, me too. Yeah, this is simple math, guys. It's 2016, and I graduated 4 years ago. Hey. Isn't it weird? That's weird that those
Just Kim.
That's exactly how my brother does. Class.
Mr. Hoffman.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yeah. Football team?
Seahawks suck.
Because I really like Peyton Manning, but I really don't like it.
I know.
Really don't like it. Because everybody around here must know. And I realize I'm in Bronco country, but that's okay. I'm in two Bronco countries, actually. I'm in like Denver country and Boise State country and being a University of Idaho. Well, good. Good. Because I really don't like Boise State. Yeah, I saw him wear that sweatshirt. It drives me nuts.
Who?
Yeah, that guy just chucked and prayed. I'm gonna say Caleb.
You really don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, is everybody done?
No.
Yeah. No. Okay, one more minute. One more Okay, everybody pass to the right. I'll pick them up. Huh? I'm watching sports. It's not too wet for
Dude. Kimber, you hit him. No, I don't. You're like cool like this. No, I don't like that. Yes.
I understand. I should have given it to you guys before I got on my whole bacon rant. But
Yes, exactly. Just a little. It's your fault. I blame you.
if it makes you guys feel any better, it's only going to be worth 5 points. Okay, so we talked about the products, and this is going, these two papers have a few quick facts, so I'm just going to hand them out to you guys really quick. So there's some frog trivia on this, and then there's also on the back, there's a bunch of different products. I kind of have this up there with me, and I was using it to help you guys. But there's a lot of interesting different products that you can get from pigs. And Wyatt said one of the most important ones, heart valves. Having capacity. Well, this will have to do when you can't get a transplant. So these are just some fun facts. And then one more thing. Because I love to hand out papers.
Yeah, you do.
So many papers. So many letters. Just to help you guys throughout this unit. So these are a couple of, so the first paper that I handed out is a lot of the other like pharmaceutical byproducts. And this one is more of the wholesale cuts, and it's also got some pig facts on the back. You guys are going to love pigs by the end of this.
Mr. Hoffman,
Yes. That is inappropriate. And I will not justify that with a response. So you guys can go ahead and assume no.
You guessing no?
So anyway, moving on. Alright, enough. Alright. So, like I said, we're going to launch right into it. And here are some terms that you guys are going to need to know. These will come up in a little bit. We'll define these later in the style that Mr. Wetzel does, so they will be highlighted in red, and you guys will know what will be on the test. Okay? So, we're also going to start off with a graph because I really like graphs. I'm a numbers guy. Okay? So, I'm just going to keep telling you guys little fun, maybe not so fun facts about myself. But if you notice, these are the sow breeding inventories. So times 1,000 sows. So if you just add 3 zeros on the end of that number, it's a big number.
Yeah.
35,500,000. Okay. So these are the rankings. I'll stand over here. These are the rankings per country. The USA is number 2. So we're like, we produce pigs. That's awesome.
That's
Okay, but
that
then
was
you look
that was in
at
2010
this,
though.
and we're down like 29 million to China.
Oh,
Go to 2011.
Okay, so here now in 2011, very good. We actually went down in pork production, and they went up. So now we're like 44 million behind China.
I'm guessing
Vietnam is not that far off.
That's true. So we produce a lot of pork, and that's all we need to produce for us. But I know Mr. Wetzel has talked about our population compared to China's population.
Yeah.
So we have 300 million, and they have like 1.2
Million.
million. So they have like 4 times the people, but they have way more times the pork, and that's because pork is the #1 protein consumed in China.
They don't eat pork in India.
Beef. They don't eat beef in India because it's holy. They do eat pork.
They have a ton of people.
More than China.
Okay, that's another thing. China produces a lot of hogs, so they probably send or export a lot of it to India. Okay, because sometimes it's cheaper to import products than it is to export. Have you ever noticed how most of your guys' clothes were made in China? It's because it's anything that's made in America, like clothing-wise, it's a lot more expensive, isn't it? It's way cheaper for us to import the clothing from China than it is for us to make it ourselves. So that's usually because of cheap labor. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to break it down just in terms of the United States. And Iowa is by far the biggest pork-producing state in the U.S.
Yeah.
And then if you go ahead and look at Idaho, we're pretty sad. But that's okay because we are number 3 for dairy products in the nation. So we have a lot of different products that we produce. But as far as pork goes, Idaho just doesn't produce that much. Usually what you see is a lot of just fair hogs that students will take 4-H members or everything to the county fairs. And that's what our production is. And we're okay with that. So. Alright, so this is really 30,158,000, okay? And then this is an average live weight, so like I said, they're going to be somewhere in this 270 range usually, which is still a pretty big hog. Huh? I don't know, they kind of just threw these random ones in. Like, I'm really glad, actually, I was the one who put Idaho in. I think this was probably developed for a study in Wisconsin, so they threw themselves in, and then I found the Idaho information and put it in there. But these are the top 4 states. Okay?
Why is Wisconsin?
Oh, I'm not sure why they're so heavy. Probably for big production, or they're still doing lard or something like that. So, this would be good information to know. So if you guys would just write down the top 4 states. You don't have to write down any of this information right here. But I just want you guys to know the top 4 hog producing states in the U.S.
What do you watch on the
The Office.
Oh, I love that show.
Yes, I have seen it. Yes. Everybody should be writing down what the top 4 pork producing states
Yeah, for the like last time.
Yeah, the last time. Thank you guys. Does everybody have that? Okay, alright, okay. Alright.
Calm down.
Be calm. Calm.
Everybody calm down.
Like I said, you don't have to write down all these numbers.
Oh, well,
Just
too
the,
late.
just the, figured that was why people were not finished yet. Simmer. Alright.
Then you can get out.
That's right. Okay, so we're gonna watch a little video about a modern hog producer. Okay.
Wakefield Pork started in 1991. Two farm families that had prior history of hog production formed together to buy a sow unit. Since then, we've expanded and we're now over 45,000
Iowa.
sows. We've marketed about 1.2 million pigs per year. We love what we do, we feel we're good at it, and we enjoy providing the world good pork. The FAIR program is initiated through the Pork Board and the National Pork Checkoff, and it guides out 6 ethical principles that we abide by and that determine our actions every day. Doing the right thing every day is our ethical and moral responsibility as farmers and land. We know that we're privileged to farm this land, and in order to preserve it for our future generations, we have to do the right thing every day. It's not only important to us, but the consumer as well. Today you're in a sow unit that was built in 1995. It's a 3,000 sow unit. And so you'll have 2 barns. You'll have 1 barn of gestation, and that is where the sows are bred and housed during their pregnancy. Once the sow gives birth and leaves its pig leg, it comes down into the gestation barn where they're bred and housed for about 112, 113 days. The sows are in individual maternity pens, and the reason we keep them in individual maternity pens is to provide the individual care that's needed for the animal. Some things we can do is we can monitor the amount of feed that's fed to the sow. So when we body score every day, we can look at the condition of the sow and see if its diet needs to be adjusted so it keeps